Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. 8 more fragrances for introverted men. I did a video on this about 6 months ago, and I've been thinking about this topic more and more. Every now and again, when I grab a fragrance, I'll be thinking, okay, how does this work for an introvert? And I actually think I kind of got it figured out in a lot of ways. I've actually got an accord that I talk about for 3 separate fragrances on this list that I think works particularly well for introverts. However, in order to explain what you're looking for as an introvert, I'm going to talk about what not to wear. This is M7 Oud Absolu, and I've told this story before, but I was in a change room at a gym. I just applied this. Somebody walked in and said it smelled like a French bordello in the room. Now, that was incredibly embarrassing. As an introvert, you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself. It really was not great. So there are 2 factors about this fragrance. First of all, this projects like an absolute beast. The guy, I swear to God, the guy had to be like 8 feet away at least when he said it. He could smell it on the other side of the room. So you're not looking for 8 to 10 feet of projection. You're looking for more like 3 or 4. You want to have your personal bubble. You don't want to annoy other people. The second thing, though, is this is an oud fragrance, and it's not a well-balanced oud. This is like a raw oud. I call it a dirty oud because there's no rose or saffron in it. And so it's not something that people, especially in the Western world, are super familiar with. Most people don't know what the hell oud is, right? So you don't want something that's too loud, and you don't want something to project too much. Fragrance number 1, Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Mal, Le Parfum. Might seem as a little bit of a surprise. However, I'm talking about in the context of the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier. I do think this would be a great fragrance to wear because Jean-Paul Gaultier is kind of a youthful party fun house, right? So you get fragrances like Elixir, which is super sweet, super powerful. I have 5 of their modern fragrances. I even had a sample of Ultramale. They're very sweet, they're very loud, they're very strong, not exactly an introvert house. I think this, though, is perfectly fine, right? So we're looking for a reasonable amount of projection. 3 to 4 feet is fine. And what I like about this is it's warm without being too sweet because the spices pop up here a little bit faster. So this has vanilla. It also has iris, which I don't get iris from this, but I think the iris neutralizes, because it's a neutral scent, it neutralizes the vanilla a little bit. It's not quite as sweet as, again, something like the Elixir, and it doesn't project quite as much. It projects fine. Look, we are looking for projection here. We don't want skin senses, and we want people to smell us. We just don't want the neighbors next door to smell us when we're in our house. Fragrance number 2, this is YSL L'Homme Le Parfum. And this fragrance and a couple of others that I'm going to talk about have a really interesting accord. When you go to Fragrantica, you see the accords. If you get an ozonic accord near the top, whatever the fragrance is, it's going to be fresher, airier, and lighter. And I think that works really well for an introvert, but it might work for other people too. That's something that you guys should think about, something you should explore, because there's a wide variety of fragrances that have a high ozonic note. So people are going to smell you, but it's not going to be as dense and heavy and in your face. Unfortunately for this fragrance, look, it's a gorgeous fragrance. The projection, I would like it to be a little bit stronger. I get about 1 foot of projection. I really would like 2 or 3, especially for something like YSL. But the scent itself is absolutely gorgeous. So you get some cardamom. You get a little bit of warm amberwood. So it's a little bit woody, a little bit ambery. There's a kind of a green, floral, fresh geranium note here. But I think one of the reasons this doesn't project as much is because it's doubled down on the ozonic qualities. Normally, when you're looking at ozonic, you're looking at a lot of violet leaf, but they also add ozonic notes to this. It is going to be very, very light, and then the projection is not going to be as strong. So I love this fragrance, don't get me wrong, but I just wish it pushed out a little bit more. Fragrance number 3, this is Prada Amber Pour Homme. Beautiful, warm, ambery, classy fragrance. Now, before I go any further, I just want to point out that I'm not trying to make a classy fragrance list and sneak it in here. That's not what I'm going for. That's why I led with Jean-Paul Gaultier, because that's a fun house. I'm just trying to point out that we're looking for 2-3 feet of projection, maybe 4 at the most, not annoy people. And we're also looking for something that is pleasant, not too crazy. Because I just know, like that guy in the gym locker room, if it had been a fresh fragrance, he wouldn't have said it smelled like a French Bordello. And this thing is really lovely. It is very fresh in 3 ways. So it's really mostly saffron, which is fresh, spicy. Saffron is a spice. But there's also neroli, which is citrusy fresh. Then there's geranium, which is floral fresh. That's kind of a green note. So 3 different kinds of freshness, and then some warm resins. You got labdanum and myrrh. So the mixture of the freshness and the warmth. The resins are where you get the name amber pour homme. You add some musk to it, and you get the beautiful, soapy, classy, gorgeous amber pour homme. Fragrance number 4, this is Burberry Touch. Back to ozonic accords. If you look at the accords on this, ozonic is really high. There's tons of violet leaf in here. The beautiful thing about this one, though, is it projects very nicely for an inexpensive fragrance. It doesn't last forever, but 4 hours, which is not bad. It's relatively inexpensive, as I said, right? It smells really good. So you get a peppery, ozonic feel. So there's black pepper in this. There's a hint of musk as well. Really popular fragrance, really nice fragrance. This has been around for 25 years. Still very, very popular. I love this guy. Fragrance number 5, this is Banana Republic Dark Cherry and Amber. Now, I know cherry is a very popular note among people, and this is a gorgeous cherry fragrance, but it is a dark cherry. So there's sour cherry and cherry blossom. So you get a little bit of that creamy floral feel, and I think that's why it's considered unisex, just that little element of creaminess. But actually, this smells kind of similar to Baccarat Rouge 540. That was my impetus for getting it. It is fruitier, though, and if you like cherry, you'll love this. It's also quite sweet. It's got amber and pralines, but this is a lighter version. It's not as in your face as BR 540. This one, the performance, like longevity, is about 3 to 4 hours. I would like a little bit longer longevity, but man, like this is one of the top 2 fragrances from Banana Republic. Relatively inexpensive, but really, really nice. Definitely, though, will come across lighter than something like BR 540. So, if you're introverted and you like unisex fragrances, this would be a good choice. Fragrance number 6, this is Celerio Elysium by the House of Dumont, and this fragrance is absolutely, positively, exactly what I want. It doesn't have ozonic notes. What it does is it projects about 2 or 3 feet. It's reasonably light and not in your face, and it lasts forever. That's exactly what you're looking for when you're talking about a nice fragrance for introverts. So you're going to get that sometimes with woody fragrances. This is quite woody. It's a woody tobacco. So you get a little bit of spiciness of the tobacco. You get cedar and sandalwood in the woods. You get a little hint of sweetness from the ambroxan. Ambroxan is like a mixture of sweetness and freshness, right? So you do get a hint of that. And then you get juniper, which is a balsamic aromatic note. All of it goes together. I just like the way it performs. It performs perfectly because, if people get in your personal bubble, they're going to smell you, couple of feet, but you're not going to annoy anyone else. Fragrance number 7, this is Balade Sauvage by Christian Dior. It's part of their private line, and it is a fig fragrance. The very first fig fragrance I tried was Noble Fig by Ferre, and this is what I mean by density. Noble Fig was a very dense, very juicy, but very in-your-face fig fragrance. I hated it. I absolutely despised it. It was just too much all at once. If I had started with this, which not only does it have ozonic notes, it has solar notes. I don't know what solar notes are. I'm assuming they're like ozonic notes because this is quite light and airy, but this is a light, airy fig, and it's so pleasant. So it's got fig and fig tree, so there's real fig in this. It's a private line fragrance. It lasts a long time, but it has the airiness. So if you don't like fig, this is a great way to start, because you're going to get that hint of fig, but you're not going to be overwhelmed by it the way I was with Noble Fig, which I, honest to God, I really, to this day, it's the only fig fragrance I don't like because it's dense. It's too dense. Finally, we have Fougere Italiano by Gianfranco Ferre. This is a fragrance that is a citrus musk fragrance, which is very, very popular at the turn of the century, like 2000 to 2010. Tons of fragrances like that at that time. CH212 is kind of like the leading one in it. It's actually really nice, and it's perfect for an introvert because it's got a musky element. The projection is solid, but a couple of feet. It's fairly fresh as well. So fresh and musky works really good. It's not super sweet, not super dense. It's got some jasmine in it as well. Really nice fragrance, quite inexpensive. The performance, though, is perfect for an introvert. So yeah, I thought about this topic like way, way too much. But I really do think that ozonic accords, if you look out for that, and I mean, like, even if you're not an introvert, you may like that fresh component because, you could have something like that, which is Fahrenheit, which is like a leather ozonic, and that's kind of interesting too. So it's an interesting accord to look for. Thanks for watching.